Hello and welcome to another one of our revision videos looking at our named examples for the Geography AQA GCSE. So this is our named HIC example of a tectonic hazard, and in this case we are looking at the Chile earthquake on the 27th of February 2010. So we're going to look at some primary and secondary impacts, and we're going to look at the responses in terms of both immediate and longer term responses. So as with most of our studies, what we're going to do is do this as an image. So the way we're going to start off is by drawing our road, which represents the north-south major route in this country. So we're going to look at our impacts. So up here we're going to have a fire. This of course would be the chemical plant in Santiago. Okay, and obviously this chemical plant would have caused the place to be evacuated because of the fumes and the danger. So we really need to think about the so what. So there's a fire at the chemical plant in Santiago. Secondary impact, because it's a fire, it's not directly caused by the earthquake, but this would have caused chemicals to leak and a large amount of area having to be evacuated. Now, we also have the fact that 220,000 homes were destroyed. This will of course contributed to the 500 deaths, but we've got to realise quite a low number of deaths. It's an HIC. Remember back to videos you might have seen in class, a statement by Professor Ian Stewart in one of his very good videos looking at earthquakes, the idea that earthquakes don't kill people but buildings do. So although 220,000 homes were destroyed, only 500 people died. So while they were destroyed, meaning they can't be lived in, they obviously didn't collapse in an extent that they could have actually hurt or killed people. So HIC earthquake, and think about your so what. 220,000 homes destroyed. That means you've got at least 220,000, if not more, people homeless that you need to provide short-term shelter for, and then obviously longer term you need to rebuild. We had the tsunami, which would have then affected some coastal areas, causing coastal flooding, loss of life, damage to property. Obviously a secondary impact because the tsunami was not actually the major impact. The earthquake was the primary, tsunami being the secondary. So lots of things here. Now we had 1,500 kilometres of roads damaged. This was largely damaged and cut off by landslides, Chile being quite a mountainous area. A lot of these roads would have been on mountainside passes. So these landslides would have cut off remote communities, meaning they couldn't have got help. Injured couldn't get out and get medical treatment. We couldn't get resources in. Obviously that causes a lot of issues for the people there. Now, what did we do? What did people do? Well, obviously a lot of the aid, because of the remote communities, would have been helicopters. Again, the majority of this will have happened within Chile itself. The Chilean army and government would have provided those helicopters. This main north-south route, what was called Route 5 in the country, took only 24 hours for them, with their resources, to clear and get that route open, meaning aid could be transported to areas from the main cities and from the stockpiles that they had within the country. Shops were able to reopen and give out essential supplies, things like bread, things like water for people who'd lost it. All of those essential supplies could be given quite quickly. And also the country, of course, had some responses it had already put in place in advance. Okay, these magnitude 9, sorry, that's supposed to be a strong arm coming out the side and a fist, showing the strong biceps, but yeah, magnitude 9. Buildings that were capable of withstanding magnitude 9 earthquakes. So, key factors. Fire at a chemical plant in Santiago, 220,000 homes destroyed, 500 people killed, and the secondary impact of the tsunami, which would have contributed to that 500 and that 220,000 homes destroyed. 1,500 kilometres of road cut off or damaged by landslides. And then the responses, the helicopters distributing aid rapidly. Route 5 being reopened within 24 hours, the main north-south route to get goods and services in. Shops distributing aid to people. Shops were just given, told by the government and off their own back, said, you know, here are our supplies, let's get that out there and make sure people have got food straight away. And then obviously the rebuilding, the magnitude 9 houses that were there in the first place. And remember, a magnitude 9 earthquake-proof building does not necessarily survive a magnitude 9 earthquake. It just keeps the people in it safe, and you may well then need to rebuild afterwards. So our HIC example, the Chile earthquake from the 27th of February 2010.